What's up, everyone? My name is Colin Moriarty. I'm senior editor of IGN. I'm here with David Ballard from Naughty Dog. He's a multiplayer developer. He worked on the Uncharted games. Now he's working on The Last of Us. And we're here to show you the intricacies and some of the cool things about each of the multiplayer maps in The Last of Us' surprisingly awesome multiplayer mode. This is Bill's Town. Let's get into it.
All right, so Bill's Town, very interesting map. This is the first map that I fully developed, designed the layout for it. One of my favorite maps. A lot of very great gameplay. One of my favorite maps for sure, and it definitely cultivates gameplay for all people's styles and gameplay experiences. Let's see where to start with this map. So right off the bat, we have this church on one end. It goes down the road to the repair shop on the other end, and interesting, little tidbits. Here we go. It's the name of the repair shop is D&H Automotive. It stands for David and Heather Automotive. David being me and Heather being Heather Serlin, the texture artist for all of the multiplayer maps. She did an incredible job, and honestly, I could not have done it without her. So, big props to Heather. So another big, huge change that a lot of people wouldn't recognize about this map is that originally you were able to get on top of this roof. This was the big focus point of this map, and it tested so well in focus testing because people love the verticality, getting up high and looking down. But it all comes down to balance and making sure these maps are fun and that everybody's having a good time. With this downhill map from the church, whoever was down here on the bottom side had a super hard time getting up to the top of this rooftop, whereas these people had an easier time getting up there, and it just created for unbalanced gameplay, which is why we had to cut it, unfortunately, because it was so much fun. But you'll see that this is obviously taken from the Bill's Town level from single player, where the players meet Bill, and it's a very fun town. A lot of other ways that we iterated on the gameplay of this map and the layout is that originally this church was obviously still a base, but we actually had an entire interior. These doors were all open, and you could actually go up the stairwell.
Yeah, the stairwell is a conspicuous, I think, conspicuous sign of that.
But it's really great because I've seen a lot of people come up here and hide, and there's been a lot of great gameplay, and they sneak up on some people who've come to there. So it worked out in this way. But getting up into the choir up there, and then actually there was you go through the main area and you come out to the side, and there you could jump out. There was a hole in this wall, and this entire back area right here was playable as well.
And so you're cutting these things down because we've gone over this in some other maps where you kind of truncated the map a little bit, and this was really to kind of make the action flow a little bit better, right? So people
Absolutely.
wouldn't get lost.
Yeah, it's fine tuning. You make a map and you play test it. And we play test every day at Naughty Dog. I think we have usually around 2:30 every day for about an hour. We have a company-wide test where everybody jumps in and we play it. And it's really important that we play test it. So we know that it's that it's fun, and B, that it's working, and people can then come by the design pit and just drop down, oh, hey, I had fun at this moment, or this was a really interesting gameplay experience, and we try and say, okay, how can we create more of those experiences? What can we change about the map to and encourage that more? And one of the cool things that we realized early on was we talked about a little bit about it in another video, but the location of these lock boxes with the cache items, so usually these actually can, in a lot of maps, determine a lot of the flow for a lot of people, and because the placement of that first lockbox, and because of it, the other team can try and guess where that team's going to go. So by going the other way, they can try and outsmart the other team, and just based on their lockbox locations, which creates interesting gameplay and strategy.
So I don't know if this was an intentional design philosophy for you guys on this specific map, but it always stood out to me, and one of the reasons I like playing on this map is in some of the other maps, or in a lot of the other maps, you're really fighting from end to end, from base to base. But this seems like side to side. Like this particular map seems to encourage fighting from the diner and then into this office building, which are mark the sides of the map as opposed to the ends of the map. And is that something that you guys intentionally did, or?
Oh, absolutely. So every map has to start, right? And so the bases are just a way for the matches to start. And you'll notice that you're not going to spawn too often at the bases, from there on out. And you do a few times, but we want to encourage the long gameplay, from one side of the map to the other. But then we want to create the intricate encounters where people get inside these side routes, like for instance this is the town hall, right? And there's a lot of really awesome gameplay. This is actually this entire downstairs here. This was all Bruce Straley, game director at Naughty Dog. This was his idea. Originally, this was a very small small area, and there wasn't a lot of gameplay in here. And then he's like, let's open it up. Let's create this really cool, get down here and you're stealthing around, and I've just had so many really fun gameplay experiences and sneaking up people, dropping bombs on the lockbox and whatnot. And the point of that is, if you can win this position, okay, now awesome, I own, like, your team owns the the clock tower, so now I'm going to come in here and now I have advantage, and you can really defend it very well. So now the team has to kind of go and choose a different way to approach the clock tower, and it's just so much strategy involved, and it just takes a lot of iteration and focus testing, and not only just internal focus testing like I was talking about with internal play tests, but also with we had focus testers come in from outside the company, and they gave their feedback to us, and it was just absolutely invaluable to balancing and tuning both the maps and the gameplay.
And one of the great things about this town hall situation too that I always loved, especially I have my character's a little higher level, and so I have the ability to crouch down and be stealthy so no one can see me in listen mode. But when people don't have that, I love the ambiguity of being in the building and seeing people crouching and slinking around, but it's not always clear what level they're on, where they're at. The building is so wide and or so long rather, and obviously multi-tiered that I always find like great action in the building, trying to flank people up these stairs and back around, and the other way as well. It seems like this is like really the focal point of the game, or the focal point of the map when you're playing over here.
Yeah, and I think that draws back to like I said, being able to originally get up on top of the rooftop, and this clock tower. Actually, this was Nate Wells' biggest contribution to this map. Is he came with this clock tower, and originally you were able to get into this thing. And up and behind this rail, and that because of our focus on this building, I think that lent itself. When we cut the roof, we still created it was still the focus of this map, and you say that you think it's the focus, but I mean, I've just been so much great gameplay, and if you also it's the same thing. If a team owns the controls the diner and controls the pier, I mean, this is a pretty powerful spot as well, and I've sniped sniped a fool many a time.
Sniped many a fool over here.
Many a fool from over here. So
yeah, I've always felt a little bit vulnerable over here. I know that underneath this is where the window. There's like a little ledge where there was. I don't know if you guys still have it there. Yeah, health pack and item box. And I always run if I'm starting from the other side. I always put a bomb on the other side of that window because people just love blindly jumping through that and then boom.
Absolutely.
So I always like when I'm starting on that side, I perpetually drop a bomb
strategy.
There.
That's pure strategy, and we wanted to give that defensible strategy to a lot of people. Dropping a bomb right here and whatnot, and same thing on vice versa. People go this way, there you go. Right back at you, and it's just really important to give those kind of gameplay options to people and whatnot. So, and of course, always just if you're ever in doubt at a windowsill, go to listen mode, and you can see if the bomb's right on the other side of the window.
Some people just be rushing around.
Yeah.
I fall prey to it all the time myself, so it's no big deal. So any other interesting little Easter eggs or any other philosophies you want to share with us before we wrap this video up, David?
I mean, philosophy. Actually, this is the same thing as on the lake side. One thing I always do is I always kind of run out here and get down here and just start marking guys. If they're going to run up into the clock tower, I just run out to this point and start marking, just so my teammates can know and start strategizing. And a great thing is if let's say that their entire team doesn't go there. Hey, now I know. So now I can know to come over here instead and start watching for, them trying to flank us or something. So
awesome. And I will say, I mean, I didn't even realize until I had played multiplayer for really 15 or 20 hours that, R3 to mark is not only a nice way to earn, just a few spare parts, but actually really useful to the team, especially if you guys are working as a cohesive unit, which not everyone does. And there's something to be said about playing the game without headsets, kind of just playing it loose. But for the people that really like to play as a team, marking with R3 is integral.
Yeah. Real quick note, got a couple Easter eggs in here. Jane's Cupcake Shop. Jane being Jane Mulaney, one of the longest-running members of Naughty Dog. She's been on there since the early days. And then over here we have Pastor G. Betancourt. It stands for Gabe Betancourt of this church. He's the lighter for most of the multiplayer maps and all-around great guy. So yeah, there's tons of that throughout the entire game. Of right, like up here, Vivian. She's the lead lighter of The Last of Us. Vivian's Diner. A lot of little Easter eggs throughout the game.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Ballard, thank you for showing us this map. We're going to move on to the next. For all things The Last of Us, definitely keep it tuned to IGN.